Good evening, everybody. Today is day 3 of the European qualifiers for the World Championships, and I'm joined again by my good friend from Italy, Andrea Pagani. You're very welcome, Andrea.
Hello, thanks for having me.
No problem at all. And what we're going to do today is we're going to have a look at the each of the championships and where they are at the moment, the running scores of each of the championships, just to bring us up to date, see how the Irish interest is getting along. And then we're going to move to one of the matches where they're in the nip and tuck for the qualification period, and we'll watch that for a little bit. And then, as always, Andrea, we'll have a little bit of discussion about the ongoing saga with the Italian Bridge Federation, where no team has played against them. So without further ado, we'll go straight in. We're having a look at the open team first, and they're on round 15, so this is after round 14. We can see that the Switzerland, Netherlands, Norway, France, Italy, remember, who haven't played aboard, Sweden, England and Denmark are in the top 8 position, which will mean Spain will qualify because Italy qualify as hosts. So at the moment, 9th position is good enough. Will be good enough to qualify. We can see Ireland down in 15th place. So they're a little bit below average, and they're going to need a couple of good results to get back up into the top 9 to try to qualify. Switzerland, Andrea, would be the team that was Monaco a few years ago. Pierre Zimmermann has brought players to Switzerland, and it's a very strong team. Pierre Zimmermann, Frank Moulton, a couple of the Dutch, Bas Driver and Spjort Brink, I think, and two Polish players as well. So very strong team. The Netherlands always are there or thereabouts, aren't they? Norway, France and Sweden are always there or thereabouts as well, and England and Denmark. So very interesting. And as I said, there's still another 15 matches to go, which is 300 victory points. So an awful lot of points still to play for in this, Andrea. Yeah.
I'm a bit surprised by the position. Well, it's not final, but of Poland and Russia. Poland and really strong teams.
Poland are, yeah, but I think you might find in another 5 or 6 or 2 days time with 5 matches to go, it could be very different. You could find a couple of teams changed, but you're absolutely right. Israel would be very strong as well. Russia would be strong. Poland would be strong. Austria and Germany could be sometimes. Klaus Reps is playing for Germany.
Yeah, I saw
that. So Klaus was always very good to the juniors. When I was a junior myself, Klaus Reps from Germany, did an awful lot of the coaching at the events that we were on. Very, very interesting character.
He was very active, both when he was a junior and afterwards.
And a very nice guy. So after the Open Championships, we'll move on to the ladies after 3 rounds. Now, of course, they're on the 4th round for today. Now, and again, the Netherlands, Turkey, Poland, Sweden, Portugal, Hungary, Germany, and Estonia. Again, a few names missing out of this that we would expect to be there. Scotland have done well in previous ladies' women's championships. England are normally medal winners or medal contenders. But again, as we said, it's very early in the championship for this. That's only round 3 of round 19, I think they're playing in the ladies. So there's a long way to go. Ireland are in 15th place, a little bit below average, so we'll need a little bit of work to do to get them back up into the top 8. As you see, there's no Italy in these championships, so it is the top 8 in.
They only applied for the Open because they don't need to qualify.
Yeah, well, they don't need to qualify for any event, but they wanted to play in the Open Championships to qualify for the Champions Cup.
Yeah.
Right. So we'll move on to the seniors now. They're playing 19 rounds. Apologies, the ladies I think are playing 19 rounds, and the seniors are playing 23. The seniors are on round 11, but we'll just have a look at where they are with the scores into round 10. So again, we have the France, Netherlands, England, Denmark, Bulgaria, Poland, Sweden and Germany. England are always, France, Netherlands and England always do well. Poland always do well, very strong. Turkey has won a couple of medals in the senior championships in the past.
And Germany.
And Germany. So again, there's some teams that aren't in the top that we'd expect, and we see Ireland are there in 15th position. So they're just slightly below average. 100 would be average. And again, if you think 93 to 113 is 20 victory points, they're a match behind the qualification. But again, we have to stress that there are plenty more victory points available. We're only halfway through the Open Championship, halfway through the Senior Championship, only day 1 of the ladies and day 2 of the mixed. And finally, we'll have a look at the mixed. They started off, if you remember correctly, yesterday. The mixed started off in flying form. They fell away a little bit today, and they're down in 18th position. Again, only slightly below average. 70 victory points would be average. So 61.64 is about 8 victory points below an average score at the moment. And a couple of good wins and a couple of turnarounds will make a big difference to them. Okay. So Andrea, I just had our camera hidden there for a little bit. And what we're now going to do is we're just going to go back to the Opens. We're going to go back to the round 10. 15, apologies. And we're just going to have a look and see who's in the 7th and 8th position, 6th, 7th, 8th, that sort of position. And we're going to go over to the real bridge in just 1 second, and we're going to see if we can see anybody in the top 8 who are playing each other, because and preferably down about 7th, 8th, 9th, because that's the most important position. You know, it's kind of like in football, getting to the World Cup. Andrea, getting there is all you really want to do initially. You can't win the World Cup today, but you cannot qualify for it. So I think, if I remember correctly, England and Denmark are playing, and that should be a very good match to watch. So Wales versus Iceland, Slovenia, Latvia versus Ireland, Turkey versus France, we might have a little look at. Croatia versus Poland. You can see dummy 3 and dummy 4 are getting lots of work against Italy. And Denmark versus England. I think that might be a very interesting one, just to have a look at.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we can see Tom Townsend and David Batchy are playing against Dennis Bilde and Emil Jepsen. I'm sure I'm mispronouncing some of those names. And we'll have a quick look at the scores to see the state of play. So again, look at that. 3 boards scored and only 2 imps. Tight bridge. At the moment, it's a narrow, small win to Denmark. So that's not going to help the scores. 6th and 7th, they've moved up. They've moved up. Okay, so we'll just have a look, and we might they're slower at the other table, Andrea. So we'll go across to the other table and we'll see them over there because they're not as far ahead. So we're looking for England versus Denmark. There we are now.
Yeah, table 18.
18, thank you very much. So they're on 24, and at the other table on 24.
2 spades.
They were 2-no trump they were in, yes. And on this table, they're in 2 spades. So it's a different contract. North-South have already achieved 4 tricks. A ruff now from the north hand with the 10 of spades is going to mean this contract is going to go down. Two spades isn't going to go well for Denmark.
Well, the contract is going to go down anyway because the third.
You the club.
They started a club now. Well, still not makeable. Even with a club discard. You have to pay another club.
You have to lose, yes. You have to ruff this, draw the trumps, and when you lead the jack of clubs, South can ruff and then play a heart. So this should go 1 down, which will be a little gain for England. So it's very unusual, and we must give full credit, Andrea, to all the countries and NBOs and the European Bridge League for putting on a European Championships in the COVID era
Yeah,
even though it's not an official European Championships, it is the qualification, and to do it can't have been easy, and particularly as well with the incidents that has happened with Italy.
Yeah.
I mean, there are many different viewpoints. I've seen lots of people online say they're not particularly happy with what has happened, and of course we can understand that, but sometimes people have to do things to make change become
effective.
Indeed. So they're going to go off on this, and it's going to be a narrow game for England, which will mean they'll move from winning to losing, and we just see what happens and watch a couple of boards. Of course, there's talk about bridge clubs coming back now, but I'm not convinced, Andrea, that we'll be back before January. We're not out of the woods yet.
No, I agree.
Well, if we look at what happened in winter in New Zealand and in Australia and the other hemisphere, the World Championships are to be held next March in Italy. COVID could put a stop to that, and as we saw, 2 spades -1, so this should change the scores for us, Andrea. Yes, look, 2 imps can't come back to them, so we're back to a 10-all draw now. The next one is a 4 spades +1 by West, so barring anything unusual, that should be right. So they've got, looks like they've no diamond to lose. It looks like they've no spade to lose. It looks like they've no heart to lose. And it looks like they've only 1 club to lose. Now, what happens is, of course, Andrea, when they rough the diamonds, they're going to have to rough with the 8 and the Jack of spades, thereby being able to give the King of spades to North. So that's probably why they lose a spade trick and a club trick. So 1 heart was opened, 5-card majors, 1 spade response, a natural response showing 4 or more spades and 6 points. And then 2 spades was 2 spades with a 3-card support and a singleton. A lot of people might not raise with 3-card support, but certainly with a singleton, it's better than rebidding 2 clubs, in my opinion. It's better than rebidding 2 hearts. 2 spades is going to score greater more of the time, and it was an easy 4 spades by West, even if they had 5, because they had 5 spades. I would imagine that the Danish team would have some sort, if they needed to find out what their partner had.
Oh, they do. They always do, yes. Generally, 2-no trump.
It would be, 2-no trump would be a relay for West East to describe the type of hand they have. And they're probably able to show a 3-card raise minimum, a 4-card raise minimum, and 3- and 4-card raises non-minimum. So if you have the gadgets, you're able to, and the conventions, you're able to make slightly bids that other people wouldn't always make.
Yes, these 2 spades is not technical, it's tactic.
Yes.
You know that if you stop in 2, you better stop in 2 spades with that shape and everything else. If they need to investigate further about the real distribution, they have this ASCII bid and relays. And they can explain exactly how they support it.
So this looks to be a flat board, and we'll just have a quick look at the scores as it changes, and there doesn't look to be anything much interesting coming up. So we might just have a look, Andrea, and continue again to see if we can spot any of the other teams in chance. England and Denmark, there's nothing to separate them at the moment. So we'll have a look and we'll see who Sweden are playing, and maybe who Portugal or Spain are playing. That might be interesting to have a look at. Sweden, Portugal, or Spain. So Sweden are playing Switzerland, which is a big match, and Spain are playing Germany. Yeah. We'll have a quick look at Switzerland versus Sweden for the moment. We have Ola and Michael Rimstad, they're siblings, and we have Baz Driver and Stuart Brink. I apologize if I mispronounce anybody's names. So we saw this from the England match, and they were in 3 hearts +1. It doesn't seem to be likely that people are able to get to it. And of course, it only makes because the ace of diamonds is onside. If the ace of diamonds is onside, offside you won't make, and it probably only makes as well if they lead a club, which would most certainly be my lead. The king of clubs I'd be leading would be my choice. But I suppose South did bid diamonds, and that why they're leading their partner's suit. So 3 hearts is looking like it's going to make +1. And we have a quick look at the scores, we'll see. So Sweden are being beaten by Switzerland, and that's obviously going to make a big difference in the table. You can see Sweden are dropping down now below Denmark and England, who haven't moved. So they've swapped positions because Switzerland are 5 victory points ahead of the Netherlands. I'm not sure whether there are medals even being given for these championships, Andrea. I think it is just purely a qualification.
Probably, yeah.
So Ireland are in 16th place, and we'll have a quick look at their scores. They're winning 11-7, and if they can get a few extra imps, it's really the new scoring system, Andrea, of 20 victory points means the low-level scores, imps are very, very, very expensive. You can see there 4 imps of a difference is 1.5 victory points. As they go up, the victory points get less. So we'll keep our fingers crossed that Ireland are going to bring on a couple of extra imps and creep up the table. So we'll wait for this board, and we can see who else did we say we might like to have a look at while we're moving through. Portugal we were looking for, weren't we?
Portugal, yes.
Just to have a look and see how they're getting on. It's nice to click at the table. Can we see them there?
No.
They might be sitting out, of course.
Oh, no.
There we go. Portugal are sitting out. So it's as we said, Andrea. Portugal are sitting out.
So Wales was around Spain.
Spain was there as well. We'll have a quick look at Spain. Germany versus Spain.
Klaus,
Spain. Is Klaus playing? Yes, he is. Yeah. We'll go and we'll have a little look at Klaus. It'd be nice to see somebody who we know personally.
Gonzalo Godet and Jordi Sabate.
They're Spain, aren't they? Yeah. Gonzalo Godet, he runs lots of tournaments, I think, on BPO, and I see lots of.
He's absolutely one of the most active Spanish players.
Yeah, and we'll have a look at the scores here. So again, Germany are beating Spain 9-2, narrowly enough, 7 imps, but 7 imps is 2.5 victory points. So Germany taking the lead here, and we can see that it makes a difference to the table. Spain are now just hanging on in 9th place. Portugal 10th. 9th is the bubble. We have to remember that. With Italy being in the top, 9th are the bubble. So 10 board matches, and there's 4 boards to go. And we're on board 26. Now, will West open this a strong no trump, or will they open it 1 heart? They've opened it at
well, they did.
A 14-16 no
well,
trump.
They have it within the system.
Yeah. But even if you were playing strong no trump.
Well, in 3rd seat. Yeah.
It's a 7 loser hand. It's a 5 card suit. It's got 2 10s. I mean, if you open 1 heart and your partner bids 1 spade, what will you rebid? If you open,
one trump.
you know, so you might not be happy doing that. If you open one heart and your partner bid 2 diamonds, would you be happy rebidding 2 no trump? So maybe opening 1 no trump. Now 14-16 is perfect.
And good lead for the fans.
Yeah, sets up 4 tricks for them while they still have the entry. But they've 7 tricks on top, so 1 no trump shouldn't create any problem for them.
The club break is friendly.
Yeah, they can cope with either a 3-2 or a 4-1 club break if the jack of clubs comes down in 1 round. So that would be above 68%. So 5 club tricks, the ace of spades is 6 and the ace of diamonds is 7. And I don't think he'll go about trying to do anything fancy. I'd imagine.
No, there's no need.
There's no. In teams, you don't go looking for extra tricks. If you look for extra tricks, bad things might happen. So we have 29 kibitzers at this table. We'll see if there's anybody interesting that we know.
I know one of them.
I know a couple, but not many. And now he'll run for the diamond and give up the ghost. So we'll stay here for one more board, Andrea, just to see what happens. And then we'll have a quick look at the overall results in all of the championships before we finish. And then we'll just have a quick discussion again. And again, we're not looking to be hard on anybody or not looking to upset anybody, but it is the biggest story that has ever happened in the bridge world in the last 10-15 years. I mean, it is unbelievable that every country so far has refused to play against Italy.
As far as I know, this is unprecedented.
Unprecedented. And there's a real chance that they could win the European Championships.
Well, how?
Because the scores will be weighted. So they will get 12 victory points off every team. But if the teams are only averaging 6 victory points, well, then they will get 14 victory points. Okay. So they get 12 off the teams that refuse to play against them, that are better than them. And anybody who has a lower score than average, Italy's average will be brought up. And so I read online from one of the posts I was reading, it was 13.2 won the European Championships 3 years ago.
Okay.
An average of 13.2. So we can see from the scores, Italy are in 5th place without having played a board.
Yeah.
And they're only 27 victory points behind first. So it could be very strange, as we said. So we just hang on for this board, Andrea. And then we're just going to open our screen up and we're just going to have a quick little discussion about what we think could happen. I mean, it's all hypothetical. Neither of us are involved in any bridge federation. Neither of us are playing internationally at any level. We're not coaching or training or captaining, non-playing captains. So we're just speaking from our own personal opinion.
Yeah, we just can try to guess.
And surmise.
Yeah.
I mean, there are lots of people who are unhappy with what has happened. I put a post up on Bridge Winners, and a Croatian player put down that he wasn't happy that his team wasn't playing against the Italians. He didn't think it was the right thing to do. But I suppose they made a team decision, and he had to be bound by that. And at some point, Andrea, you know, people have to stand up for what they believe in. And if they don't believe that it's right, that he should be playing, and that the powers that be haven't handled it properly, well, things are going to have to change. So we're, of course, having a side issue without looking at the board. So a club was opened by North, obviously short or prepared.
Yeah.
And balanced, and can have 5 diamonds. A good solid 1 spade over call. Sorry, I just want to click it to get rid of it. My apologies.
From
And now they end up in 3 clubs. We just checked what they were in at the other table.
Donald Trump being probably pick a minor.
They're playing it at the other table. They're playing it at the other table. So we can see that again, it's just a tight going on here between Germany and Spain.
Very close.
So 3 clubs is here. They lose a diamond, they lose a heart, they lose a club, and they should lose 2 spades. So 3 clubs shouldn't make. And when they're playing bridge,
on the other hand, they make 2 spades.
Yeah, so 3 clubs.
No, probably 3 clubs down 1. It's not a bad result.
Well, could gain for them. Will we have a look at the other table and see what they've got to?
Yes.
So the other table was Spain versus Germany. Of course, they just finished it. So they played in 3 hearts, +1 by East-West. So yes, 3 clubs -1 is going to be a gain of 3 imps. Yeah?
Yes.
For Germany. So again, it's nip and tuck. You find at this level, the margins are very tight, as you well know. Okay, so we're going to leave that there, and just before we finish, we've had a look at the up-to-date scores for the open teams. We're just going to go through each of them now and have a look at them. So the mixed are on round 8, and we'll have a look at the live scores now. We have Portugal, Germany, France, Belgium, Netherlands, Latvia, Croatia, Romania, and a fabulous performance from Wales, who are on the bubble, only a VP behind qualification for the World Championships. Ireland are down in 19th position. They mustn't be having a great day. Now let's have a look at the seniors. The women first, apologies, we'll do it in order. So Ireland in 16th position. Again, just a little bit below average. It won't take much to turn it around. Netherlands, Poland, Sweden, Russia, Turkey, Portugal, Norway, Hungary, and France would be a surprise to be in that position. And Israel as well, 2 strong teams, and England. So there's going to be a lot of action happening in the ladies.
Absolutely.
And finally, Andrea, we will just have a quick look at the seniors and see whether the Irish have improved their position. They have indeed. They're up to 13th position. They're now only they're now only 1 victory point below average. I would imagine they're winning this match. Let's have a quiz. 15 over, nearly 16-4 against Turkey, which would be a strong team, no doubt. So that will most definitely help them. And all you'll find is they need a couple of wins. Absolutely. A couple of wins, and it'll put them back up into the hunt. They were 20 victory points behind 8 at the start of today, and they're now only
change in just few rounds.
2 matches. Everything can change. So a lot of these you won't find the tournaments won't settle till nearly coming into the penultimate or last day that the things will begin to sign. So they're the results up to date, Andrea, and we'll just finish off by giving our personal opinion on what you think is going to happen, or what could possibly happen, or how are the EBL going to solve this conundrum, because the Italian Bridge Federation and the captain of the Italian team have put out some very strongly worded letters with not being happy with what has happened. And from a technical point of view, you can understand why they aren't happy, but is that the be all and end all? Is it just technical, or do we have to think about the game of bridge?
We should, because if every single country is not showing up, the EBL cannot do anything. How can you penalize all the MBOs?
Well,
Each one of them.
can they penalize the players?
Just the players and not the MBOs, you mean?
Yes.
Oh,
And by that
I'm
I
not
mean,
sure
by
about
that
that.
I mean, and by that I mean, if they penalize all of the players and if they penalize all of the teams, all the MBOs, the MBOs stand for the National Bridge Organizations, by the way, if you don't, just in case there's anybody who's watching the video that doesn't know what an NBO is. So in Ireland, our NBO is the Irish Bridge Union, because that's the body which represents where you play and you represent the island of Ireland. But our local bridge organisation, which runs all the bridge in the 26 counties, is the Contract Bridge Association of Ireland and the Northern Ireland Bridge Union in the 6 counties. So, I mean, if they penalise the players and don't penalise the NBOs.
Well, I don't think it's possible, because the player represents a country, an NBO.
Yes, yes.
And they have, by the way, they have a captain who is responsible for all of them.
Yes, yes. I mean,
for any practical reason.
Well, I mean, I did hear that Scotland put a lineup in, but the players refused to play.
Yeah. Okay.
Well,
so
how can the captain then be penalised?
I have no idea, but
how can the NBO be penalised? It's in that case.
The point is, all of them participating in this event and not play in Italy. How can they do that? But most of all, if the EBL is meant to represent all the NBOs in Europe,
is it though? It doesn't represent the NBOs in Europe, because I think there's a big disconnect between the NBOs and the EBL. I think there's a big disconnect between most of the federations. I suppose in Britain, in the British Isles, Ireland and England, Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland, we have a close affiliation between our federations. I'm sure in the Baltic countries, they would have a close affiliation, and the Scandinavian countries. But I couldn't honestly remember federations being the best of pals and everybody speaking to one another. You know, it doesn't happen. It doesn't really happen, you know. They have a meeting every 2 years or a general assembly every X number of years. And I don't see the connection between the NBOs and the EBL. And I see even less of a connection between the NBOs and the World Bridge Federation. So I think it's interesting times ahead.
Well, yeah, you know, NBOs are affiliated to the EBL. And then since the EBL is a body of the WF, they automatically are also affiliated to the WF. But theoretically, the EBL should represent the European bridge. So if people want to change a law, want to change a
procedures or statute or whatever they call it, yes,
they have to listen. So,
well, they have to get enough people, but they have to
penalize their actions.
They have to get enough people from all of the NBOs to make it so. Saying you're unhappy doesn't just change it. People have to become involved in their national bridge organizations to put this on the agenda, because most bridge organizations aren't run by the top players. Most bridge organizations are run by amateurs, are run by volunteers, aren't run professionally. Most committees in most organizations are run. And most committees, certainly from an Irish perspective, most committees don't want to be speaking about European championships. It doesn't affect 99.9% of the bridge players in your home federation.
Well, this is an old argument.
Well, it's a problem. It's not an argument. It's not an argument. I'm just saying that it
comes up every once in a while. You know that the bulk of the players within a federation don't care much about these big events, because they're not just touched, but they don't even know where they happen.
Yeah.
And well, they have some feedback afterwards on the national bridge magazines and so on, but they don't really feel involved in what happens at a higher level.
Of course, they don't. A lot of bridge players in Ireland, Andrea, don't even feel involved at a local level within the organization. There's a disconnect between most bridge players just want to play bridge. They don't want to do the work that's involved in organizing and making a federation be successful. And we're very lucky in Europe. We have tremendous bridge federations working tremendously hard at a local level to support and promote bridge. And well done to all of them as well. Listen, Andrea, we must finish today. We've done a good 40 minutes today, and as always, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
We might see you tomorrow evening for tomorrow's broadcast, and tomorrow's broadcast will be late because I'm traveling over to the continent for a few days. So I'll be in touch with you, and we hope everybody log on, watch the bridge, keep interested in the events, and we'll talk to you soon. Have a great evening.
Good evening, everybody.
Thanks, Andrea. Bye-bye.